I'm David Cox. I'm the director of Mastercard's European Cyber Resilience Centre, and I know that English isn't the first language of everybody, so I'll try to go slowly as much as I can. But it's fantastic to be here, see so many of you in person in Poznan. What a beautiful town, beautiful weather, and a great venue. So I'm David Cox. I've been with Mastercard now since 2020, joined during a worldwide pandemic. But before that, I was a law enforcement officer and served for over 20 years in the UK, investigating everything from drugs to fraud and money laundering. But the last part of my career was in cybercrime, working with the National Cybercrime Unit, which is a part of the National Crime Agency. At the latter part of my career, I was the lead for strategic engagement with business, so working with industry as one team with one goal. I was also the lead for protecting business from cybercrime and the lead for protecting individuals and preventing individuals from becoming cybercriminals and trying to force them into a path of working with us rather than against us. And that was a fascinating part of my career. So what are we seeing at Mastercard? We know that the cost of protecting ourselves against cybercrime is forever increasing. We know that the cost of a cyber breach is also increasing, year in, year out. So we know that this is a big problem that's not going to go away. But what we do see is whilst we look ahead at what new technology, innovation, legislation, and criminals may bring to us, we must not forget to look behind us, because long-standing vulnerabilities remain, despite our best efforts. They continue to threaten us now as much as they did yesterday, and they will do again tomorrow. So we need to be really mindful of those long-standing vulnerabilities, and that's really down to patch management, etc. We also know that phishing remains really one of the most biggest entry points into business. It's one of the main points of individuals to put, and actors, to put malware onto computers. And at Mastercard, we know that our employees are the first and best lines of defense when it comes to protecting us from such attacks. And actors have been using that to their advantage, using the coronavirus pandemic as a way to scare employees to click on a link or bait to then bring malware onto business and the devastating impacts that that would have. So really going to educate your business, educate your employees is a fundamentally important part of what you do day in, day out. Crime as a service is a business model that's been going on for a couple of years now, and it's just increasing all the time. We see that criminals and individuals now don't need to have technical ability to be able to conduct an attack against a business. They can buy it from somewhere else. They don't need to be good. They can buy either access to malware to conduct an attack against a business, or they can just buy access to that business that's already been taken and then conduct an attack from inside there. These businesses, we need to call them businesses that criminals are setting up, are well-funded. They have their own HR department for human resources. They have their own billing departments. They have their own customer care centers to make sure that they're giving the best service they can to their other criminals. And just as we have crime as a service, we also have ransomware as a service. And ransomware really does maintain its reign as the most damaging and financially damaging form of cyber attack. And we're seeing it just increase and evolve. We now see that ransomware is not just there to take and block your system. It's there to take information prior to blocking your system and then using that to threaten the company to make sure that you pay the ransomware. And if you don't, they'll then publish that information and data with a negative impact that will have through media and share prices. And Mastercard partners with Europol, with a group called No More Ransom, to really provide solutions to businesses for free for those businesses that have fallen foul to ransomware. But not every ransomware has a solution. We're also seeing the scale and speed of attacks increasing, with the speed in computations increasing, with communications increasing, with AI, and also with the adoption of cloud technologies due to the ongoing pandemic. And that's with basically giving everything to your workforce that they need as they are now dispersed across the world. And with that brings, the workforce is more disparate. They can work from anywhere, which means we have threats from absolutely everywhere. But what are we seeing post the war in Ukraine? We, like every other company, put up our shields. We made sure that we were as protected as we could be. We increased our threat intelligence capabilities. We partnered more with partners. to make sure that we got everything that we needed to do at that time to be as secure as we could. But what we didn't see was that come true. We didn't see a lot of attacks happen against Mastercard. In fact, we saw a decrease in threats. We saw a decrease in phishing, for example. We saw an increase in scanning, but no actual people getting into our network, but a decrease in malware. And we also seen that the criminals are split into two types, those that are for Russia and those that are against Russia. Those that are for Russia have mainly attacked Ukraine, as you can imagine, using wiper malware to be really disruptive and take away all data that is in companies and governments within Ukraine. We've also seen malware groups and threat actors like Killnet using distributed denial of service attacks against companies outside Russia, more NATO alliance countries, and against companies there to really try and disrupt those companies. What we haven't seen is a great effect from that. A lot of this has been low level, a lot of this has been medium level, and it's been able to be stopped. But they have got good media coverage from it. So they probably reached their aims in what they wanted to do. We've seen the against Russia, mainly anonymous group, and against the West, have attacked Russia and have attacked what they are trying to do in Russia by stealing data, stealing information from government entities and from businesses within Russia and publishing that with the view to destabilize Russian governments and to support Ukraine. So that's what we're seeing mainly in that space. So I've mentioned the European Cyber Resilience Centre, which I lead. I'll briefly talk to you about that. It's based in Belgium. Some would say the heart of Europe. Some would disagree. It's there to answer the top concerns of governments, policymakers, and regulators. And it's there to make sure that we are to protect our network customers and consumers by strengthening and enhancing our resilience within Europe. And with a long-term vision to become a centre of excellence that protects people, property, and business. Because I said at the start, we are seeing the cost increase to us all the time, and that the criminals are partnering with each other to attack us. What we need to do is partner against them, partnering with governments, partnering with business, to ensure that we're best positioned to raise the cost to them, rather than them always raising the cost to us. So that led me to bring in 4 objectives there behind me. I should really move, really. 4 objectives, they're there. You can see them probably better now. I know I'm not very tall, but I am quite wide. The first one is prepare, and that's to basically strengthen and enhance our capabilities within Europe. You know, going out there, building capability, making sure that our security assets are on soil within Europe for the first time, rather than being based in America. The next 2 Ps kind of run together, and they are to prevent and protect Mastercard, and that's really our core business, ensuring that we identify threats and we mitigate and limit any breaches that we have, whether that be to Mastercard or that's our customers and consumers. That's by bringing people together under one roof to accelerate and enhance our security posture, having people embedded within our Security Operations Center and working closely with our Fusion Center over in the United States to have a follow-the-sun model to security and incident management. And the last P is different from when I was in law enforcement, which would be bashing down doors, locking people up. This one's slightly different. This is about sharing the information and intelligence we get from the previous 3 Ps with our partners to raise situational awareness and to enhance and enable continuous learning, easy for me to say. And that really is the bread and butter. It really is what we want to do within Mastercard, and particularly within the ECRC. It provides us with a true European cybersecurity headquarters with the ability to protect, detect, respond, and recover from cyber attacks as they happen within Europe, rather than relying on further afield. It also it supports market resiliency efforts, it supports payment sovereignty efforts, and it's, most importantly, it's a single point of contact for customers, consumers, and governments. So I'll just briefly talk through, I've only got a short amount of time, briefly talk through a few areas that we've supported through Mastercard, building on the objectives that I set out. And the first one is under our Pursue agenda, and this was in relation to working with Europol, where we partnered with Europol, Visa, and Amex. There is no competition when it comes to security. We work together and collaboratively. It's really important. We worked with Europol. They came to us and said, would we work with them on an underground forum that they'd identified to try and stop credit cards being used before they could be used by attackers. So through the ECRC, we received and validated over 300,000 unique pieces of card data. And through that, working with teams within Mastercard, through the Mastercard Intelligence Center, through account data compromise, we're able to identify a significant number of those cards had not yet been used. And just a Mastercard, we saved in excess of 40 million euro to our customers, which is a fantastic saving. We received significant praise from Europol for that. We managed to sign a memorandum of understanding with them following that during the great work that we did, just to cement our relationship with them and European law enforcement. And then the final one that I wanted to quickly touch on was about improving resilience, and that goes under the prepare strand of our objectives. And this, if you don't know about it, it's called Operation Lock Shields, and it's the largest live fire international exercise across Europe and NATO countries. It's run by the Center of Cybersecurity Excellence for NATO, and it's run out of Estonia every year. They've been running it since 2010. But for the last 2 years, they decided to include a financial element to the strategic part of the exercise, which meant that businesses and countries could, for the first time, exercise their readiness to be able to combat anything problematic against the financial elements of their countries. We were asked to participate along with FS Isaac and other financial market infrastructure, and we provided challenging injects and scenarios that would really test the abilities of those countries to be able to respond to an attack. We basically tried to build something that would provide excellent coordination and collaboration between them. You want to make sure that when you go outside and it's raining, you don't find out that your umbrella doesn't work when you're outside. You need to know that before you go out. You need to make sure that you're there and you're ready. And we got some great press coverage from it through the Wall Street Journal with our Chief Security Officer, Ron Green, putting an interview together with FS Isaac. I know the picture on the bottom right shows the results for 2021, but for 2022, the runners-up, unfortunately, were Poland and Lithuania grouped together, with Finland winning. So congratulations for coming second, but Finland did win on that occasion. But that's it from me, a very, very short introduction into the world of the ECRC, into cyber threats that we're seeing. I'd like to thank you for your time. It really is about security and unity. We need to work together. We need to partner together. We need to do everything we can to make sure that those baddies, those bad guys, are having as much of a problem as we are in trying to defend against them. Thank you very much for your time.